We're good? All right. I'll open up this council meeting for March 6th. Please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All you, Twyla.
Councilor Albert?
Here.
Councilor Colby?
Here.
Councilor Brunel?
Here.
Councilor Crawford?
Here.
Councilor Lunt?
Here.
Councilor Ward?
Yes.
And Councilor La Rochelle?
Is excused. I need a motion to accept. He is out of town.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Let's see. It's fluid.
All those
All
in
in
favor?
favor.
Order passed 6-0.
Thank you. Moving right along.
Is good news and recognition. Order 2018-44A, a proclamation supporting Team Haley Hugs going gold in September for childhood cancer awareness.
Would you read it?
Sure. The state of Maine is going gold in the month of September from this year forth in support of childhood cancer awareness, whereas cancer is the leading cause of death by disease among U.S. children and is detected in more than 15,000 of our country's sons and daughters every year. And whereas in the state of Maine, cancer affects more than 50 new children and families annually, where more than 400 children are undergoing treatment currently, and where we are ranked in the top range of incidence of all cancers at 468.3 per 100,000 people. And whereas September is nationally recognized as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and whereas, thanks to all the advances in research and treatment, the 5-year survival rate for all childhood cancers has climbed from less than 50% to 80% over the last several decades. And whereas innovative studies are leading to real breakthroughs, reminding us of the importance of supporting scientific discovery and moving closer to finding cures, though much work remains to be done. And whereas 1 in 5 children diagnosed will not survive. Now, therefore, we, the Town Council of Lisbon, proclaim that the Town of Lisbon will support Maine Go Gold in support of Team Haley Hugs and all of the children and families affected by childhood cancer. In doing so, from this day forward, we will recognize September as Maine Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. This is our way of paying tribute to the families, friends, professionals, and communities who lend their strength to children fighting pediatric cancer.
I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor.
Order passed 6-0.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything else? I have one that was brought to me. I'd like to recognize Ed Madden. He passed away over the weekend. He was a prior selectman for the town of Lisbon. Anybody that's interested in his services, Twyla has told me it is March 16th at 11 a.m. You can get more information from her, but I'd like to recognize him for his contribution to the town. Anybody else? Moving right along, Twyla.
Under public hearings, a special entertainment permit for the Railroad Restaurant and Pub.
I will open up the public hearing if anybody wants to speak on behalf of this item. Seeing nothing, I will close the public hearing. Next item.
Audience participation and response for agenda items.
Anybody wishing to address the council for anything on the agenda, please step forward. Again, seeing none, I'll move right along.
Under the consent agenda, order 2018-44B to $70.81, number 97 for $10,408.63, and number 98 for $414,231.17. And the school accounts payable and payroll warrants. Number 24 for $911.91, number 1045 for $355,236.60, number 1046 for $13,215.31, along with the February 13 workshop minutes, the February 20 minutes, the February 27th workshop minutes, and to approve the liquor license and special entertainment permit for the Railroad Restaurant and Pub.
Any motion?
Before we do that,
Yes.
you point
Yeah.
this out real quick.
Real quick.
1045 was 335,236. I heard 355, Twyla. That's all.
Also on
Yep.
also on number 95, you said that it was $167,780,000.32, and on here it's for 02 cents.
02. All right, we'll correct those. Make sure they're
Thank you both.
I don't even have my glasses on.
I need a second.
I'll second that.
First was Mr. Albert.
Mhm.
All in favor?
Order passed 6-0.
Next item.
Under Council Orders, Ordinances, and Resolutions, Order 2018-45 to set a public hearing for March 20th for the CDBG Downtown Revitalization Grant.
Good evening, Tracy Stuber, Economic and Community Development Director. We've been going back and forth in regards to the CDBG. This would be the 2018 grant. We did submit our letter of intent, and now we've been given permission as far as to move forward with a complete application. In order to do that, we need to set a public hearing date, which I'm looking for council to do for March 20th at the next council meeting. The grant is due for submission on the 30th. I also would like to say we've been speaking in regards of kind of like a streetscape sidewalk project. This is all for the village area, and this is what we're going after for funds to start doing some work in that area. There's also another option along with doing the sidewalks, and that is kind of doing land acquisition. So this grant funds can be used to acquire property. It could be, whether it be green space, it could be parking, it could, along with sidewalks. So I have set a meeting with the LDC group, and we're going to meet on the 15th. We're going to try to shoot for Thursday, but I know Fern's out, and I also wanted Ben Smith with the contracted town planner to be present as well. So right now, as in preparation for that, I'm just going to be looking at the sidewalks until the committee meets, and also we come back before the public hearing and then get input from council. That was still, if there needs to be adjustments with that, based on what everybody wants to do. There's still time to do that. We don't have to get right into the engineer work. We have to have a plan and a budget. We've got a little idea. I've gone through, I've walked this site with the state, and one of the concentrations, the intersection area, you have tip downs that have curbing. That's not good when you get into sidewalks, especially making things ADA compliance. I'd also want everybody to consider within the other options what that will do visually. We have some folks in that area that are making some investments in some of the property and doing sidewalks along with other opportunities would certainly enhance that area for even more continued growth.
Thank you. Councilor Rochelle asked me a question about this before when it first came up, and if he's gotten his answer, I haven't, so I'm going to repeat the question and see. It's a $300,000 grant. Our match is 10%?
No,
20%.
the how the grant, and this was something different this year. So it has always been a 25% match, and council had put aside that they approved, however we want to do it, would do in kind, and however it wants to be divided up. We could also use TIF funds for that. Then it came back from the state saying, oh, by the way, this year is a little different. That the 25% match would come from that of somebody else making the investment. So it would be a business or somebody looking to do their own investment within the area. Because MT Pools have put in for a grant, a facade grant, that project is $75,000. So that would be the match as far as on the investment. I'm also been in communications and working with some of the other projects that are currently going on in that area, that there's going to be even more investment. So it's going to be above that threshold as far as that $75,000 coming from the MT Pools facade grant. And all within the application, and I had a meeting with the state and said, what do you need from me in that regard? Because MT Pools, of course, is closed during the wintertime. And it's just a matter of taking the facade approval letter and putting that into the packet, which is what I'll do.
So Councilor Rochelle's question was, how does that impact the actual dollar amount of this grant that was set at originally a $300,000 grant, 25 coming from us, 270 from the state, 275 from the state. What's that distribution now when the local match from empty pools and other parties are they're not set amounts? We're clearly above our quarter. Are we still getting the 275, or how's that work?
What we would get as far as the grant itself is only a $300,000 grant. So you're not going to get anything more than that. So whatever council, if they want to put in extra funds, that would be above and beyond the $300,000. And the $75,000 match is just, those funds wouldn't be coming. That would be just based upon the investor is putting in their money for their own project of that.
Okay, so
Bless you.
the state's going to give us $300,000.
The grant, yes, the grant is for $300,000.
That was the question that Councilor Rochelle was
Yes,
looking
it's
for.
not-
How much is physically coming from the state?
300.
We know what our match that we set aside at that last meeting was the 225, and the local component is above and beyond. To his point, he was trying to express the opinion that it's probably a step in the right direction, but he would like to see a much more sizable contribution towards that area to be able to really address some of the needs.
Correct. And that's, when you look and you walk through the site, and I've walked through that site many times, is the sidewalks are crippling. We've had storms through there that, been big holes. Those bricks are gone. I mean, I'm surprised there hasn't been really a serious, accident in the area. And I know one of the questions was within the curb cuts, but if you look at 196, you're not going to have any difference in your curb cuts anyways, is because you can't access management, you're not going to do it off of 196. It's just not going to happen. Then you look at the intersection area. Again, it's dealing with, there are over 300 people either living or the potential of living based upon the size of the rooms at Farwell Mill. Then you have the other businesses on Village Street that a lot of these you have down first floor storefront, and then you have upstairs living as far as, so you're even bringing more people to that area as well. So we do have the opportunity. What type of visual effect, and based upon the Route 196 master plan, everything falls right within line. We've always just focused just on the sidewalks, knowing that, but if, like you said, you have that extra funding, what else can we do? You take and look at the Lisbon, the Falls area with a grant. We've been able to really enhance that because we've had a developer come in and he's going to be paying for the sidewalks, which allowed us to be able to take the sidewalks and extend them more up to Union Street based upon that new development. And I know that they'll be breaking ground soon. So there are opportunities.
Perfect. You answered Councilor Rochelle's question. The state is still a $300,000 grant. The local share is still set at the 25 that we talked about, and the match coming from a local investor doesn't impact anything associated with the money part.
Correct. And the more that we show on there between the town and the community of businesses and stuff, that collaboration.
Sure, it shows how much investment in that.
Exactly. It looks better for us as far as on the scoring.
Perfect. Any other questions of Tracy, guys? I know I got off tangent, but it was a question that was still spilling over from that last
that's
meeting,
fine.
so thank you. I'll entertain a motion to set that date
Make the motion.
Second.
right there. All in favor?
6-0 in favor. Passed.
Moving right along, Twyla.
Order 2018-46 to amend Chapter 90 Personnel Policy.
These amendments to the personnel policy is current and past practice, but it has not ever been written in our personnel policy, so we'd like to reflect that now. The first one is the overtime and the hours calculated in determining the overtime. We currently are including holidays, vacation, sick leave, bereavement, jury duty, and compensatory time. That's the way it's been for years, but it's just never been written in our personnel policy. The other one is the treatment plant call time policy, and there is a letter that was written years ago, and this is how they've been doing it, and that has never been reflected in the personnel policy. And the last one is the treatment plant uniform reimbursement. Again, this is something that is past practice and current practice, but has never been written in a policy. So we'd like to update our policy to reflect what we currently are doing with these, with overtime and with the treatment plant, wastewater treatment plant.
Anybody have any questions of content, guys?
Anybody out there in the audience have anything to say about it? Yay, nay?
I heard.
That's all we need to hear right there.
All right. That said, I'll take a motion.
Make the motion.
Need a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Order passed 6-0.
Yay?
Moving right along.
Order 2018-47, amend Chapter 82, Division 2, Section 8251, the vitular fees. And this changes to reflect that when we process liquor licenses, we already charge them a fee to do their special entertainment permit and the liquor license fee to process it. So at this point, we reevaluated the fee schedule and felt that anybody who sells food would still be should be a regular $100 fee. So they're all treated alike.
Any
think-
questions on content on that one, guys? I need a-
Those that sell liquor licenses those that sell alcohol in convenience stores, we don't process those liquor licenses. So
Right.
I think in general, you'll lose a little revenue. I estimated it to be about 500. It's not a lot.
And that's just because of the reduction in the fee.
Yep.
It's resetting it to what we should have been charging to begin with.
Probably. And the other ones are already paying a fee because we process the liquor
Right.
license. So, yeah, I think it's more equitable.
I'll make a motion.
Need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Order passed 6-0.
Next item.
Order 2018-48 to amend the fee schedule. Moxie, we're going to add Moxie Festival stuff for fees, library fees, and we're looking at the business licenses again, the fees there.
The one that caught my attention was a $30 fee for an electronic copy for council meetings.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody's going to be asking for those anymore because you can download them right on
Yeah, but it didn't get
site,
stricken. It says
True, because if we do need to do it, we're going to have to produce it either on a flash drive or a CD or electronically. If we're
Can we guide them to
required-
the red dot that's on the wall? There's no fee associated with that. As you have the archive there, so we.
Right, but we do own our own copies of them, and if somebody does really want us to produce it, we would need to. But they do pay for those
For the small
services.
population that may not own a computer or any sort of device that can go to the red dot.
Okay. Okay. I was just
Mostly, we probably won't, but we could be asked to.
okay.
And then we
The potential there. So I
Just in
get it.
case.
I get it.
Some council somewhere down the line in the very near future will have to strike that. It won't be us, I don't think.
We took out the HDD retrieval because we don't even have an HDD deck now, so.
Right.
So we
Right.
just
Right.
changed it over to an electronic version.
Okay.
I want to see some.
I guess
We
that
do-
makes sense. I
We
just
do charge for electronic retrieval from the central voter system, PhotoReg, and so we download copies of things that way. So it seems more in line with that type of.
Are there any sweet cassette recordings from the 1989 selection
8-track.
meetings?
8-track.
Some of those. Those would be
Yeah.
Got a backup file on that.
I figure it's got to be a heck of a. You said something at $30 that I can get for free. I know I'm going to find a device.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you, Twyla.
You're welcome.
The other question I had is
Mhm.
the Moxie fees. Are that what we currently charged last year, or is there anything on those? Do you know? Here.
They are exactly from the applications that we're using this year.
That was my only question. Is if it's what we did this year, then just adopting what we have in practice is what I'm hearing.
And the current applications will reflect the same
Perfect, thank you.
fees. We just have never included them in our fee schedule, and it's thought it should be in there. We have some more that we'll actually add as well in the
Right.
future meeting.
Right.
And we have recreation fees that are coming up too as well.
Any other items that caught people's attention? That said, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Order passed 6-0.
Next item.
Under ordinance 2018-49, amend Chapter 46, Streets, Sidewalks, and Other Public Places, Article 1 in general. This is the first reading. It's a roll call vote required.
The one that's standing off the page for me is page 54, section 4665 1C. Where's the 2-year rule come into play now? It reads, proof that a private way has endured without damage at least 2 consecutive freeze-thaw cycles after construction. I'm just going back to the one we just recently accepted. That street wasn't even there 6 months and we accepted it. Is that addressing that issue?
That currently is not in our ordinance. That's a section that I found looking at other towns' approach to accepting streets, and I thought it was a really good option.
It's an opportunity, right.
And it was based on, this ordinance was put together based on input that I'd heard from the council at one of their meetings when they were discussing it, and then just trying not to reinvent the wheel.
I get why it's there, because the intent is you're going to see after that first season how the road held up for the construction to see if it was something that we're going to end up with more maintenance cost after the fact. I get it. It was just, in your opinion, if they're built to our construction standards, this should not be a hardship?
It shouldn't be an issue, but it's going to delay the amount of time between a road being constructed and before it can come to the town to be accepted. And that's a question of, we wouldn't have run into the rush this past fall.
Agreed. Agreed. That's where it just, in knowing the intent of why it was coming before us, I expect that the next developer will have the same concern, because why would I want to plow it for the entire season when I can turn it over to the town for the state of completion that it's actually in, for the roads that were completed at that point? And there was no ill intent of anything that the developer did. It was, I know we took action steps that we're accepting these 2, but not the ones that actually are still being worked on next spring.
Right.
Okay.
I was just trying to present some alternatives.
Sure.
And get the feedback from you folks on what your priorities are.
Is the language that we talked about for escrow in a different section, Ryan?
I thought it was in here.
I didn't see it. It doesn't mean that it's not there. It just means I got lost because
I may not have
I'm in a black and white world. Red actually just totally threw me off because I fear English teachers.
It might not have been in here because it might already be part of the,
We already had it.
maybe included as part of the subdivision ordinance. Unless
Okay.
there's a defect guarantee at the end.
Page 57.
They've got to guarantee it for 2 years. Defect guarantee, unless waived by the town council, shall be tendered in the form of a certified check payable to the town, faithful performance bond consistent with 66-85. I think it's in that last, it was intended to be in that last section there. And that was for them to, the guarantee shall provide the applicant with financially responsible for repair of any defects or conditions determined by the Public Works Director to be unsatisfactory to the town for 2 years.
We're asking them to wait 2 years before they even bring it to us.
Yeah. Well, they don't have to wait 2 years. 2 freeze-thaw cycles. I mean, that could be 2 weeks if you get a freeze and thaw, but or it could be 2 years depending on how you're reading it. It's a little weird.
Isn't 6 all-encompassing at the end of that section that Ryan just read? Kind of gives us the blanket and all of these things as defined by the council.
Yeah, one of the things I would like to just see is it seemed to be very well given the scenario that we were just dealing with. The contractor was okay with putting the funds aside to be able to escrow, to be able to address it. It's just I'd like to, if it's here or if it's in that other section that's referenced, knowing that that got taken care of at the same time too. That's my only thought. because it seemed to make sense, because what the intent of the developer at that point was to save a year's worth of wear and tear on the construction to be able to speak to that guarantee that we're asking for.
There was some language in the original ordinance too, when it's talking about the bond. They need to be in place prior to them even beginning the work. That was on the very first page under section 46-63.
Okay. What is your interpretation of a freeze-thaw cycle? Is that the whole winter's?
2 winters.
2 winters, okay.
So the escrow
So
wouldn't
that would
even
be
come
2
into
years,
play
yeah.
though, would it?
What's
No.
that?
You wouldn't even need escrow, would you?
No, it wouldn't relate, because
Right.
it wouldn't come before us, because you totally did away with that.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, where I was going with that is, if you take that section that you just pointed us to, Ryan, is you're asking a contractor or developer to wait 2 full cycles to come to us, and then you're asking them to guarantee it for an additional 2 years after? Okay, and that's standard?
I didn't make this up.
Okay, okay. I just wanted to make sure if that was
I
the
want to
intent.
say it was either I have a couple of them that I was picking through, and one of them was Falmouth, one of them might have been Cumberland,
Wyndham
I
was
can't-
one, wasn't it?
and Wyndham was another good one. There's a bunch of different, one of them was very stringent on the
Acceptance.
50% rule.
Yeah.
In here we just put the 50%, I think it was 50%
Yeah.
occupancy, and others were 60. A lot of them depended on, they were way more involved based on how many lots to begin with and yada, yada, yada. So I know some communities don't come talk to us for 10 years after you build a subdivision if he wants to take it over.
Right.
And even then,
There's no guarantee. Right.
so I don't know what we had nothing for really adoption standards, and I just not sure how involved you want them to be, or how much time, how willing you are to take over subdivision roads.
Right.
I guess it doesn't happen often here.
Right. I don't know. Weigh in with an opinion. You guys have heard the crux of the big pieces of this.
Well, we went through some heartburn with what happened up there, and I think that it's not a half bad idea to have something, but I'm not sure what that looks like. This seems involved, but like Ryan was saying, he didn't reinvent the wheel here. They kind of looked at some of the garden variety standards that are being used in other communities, so I say that's not a half bad idea.
Right.
I'm not a
There
big fan
there
of-
were no standards here.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not a big fan of over-regulating, but I'm not a big fan of kind of Wild West.
We went.
We got hurt by that pretty.
I'll counter with the devil's advocate role. The fact is, we went from no standards to now requiring 2 years for the wait for the next guy. Somebody's going to say, "What the hell, folks?"
Well, and maybe you just eliminate that. If you're going to do the 50, I'd put everything in there for you.
Oh no, I get it.
Can choose,
I get it, because I read it looking like going through the sewer ordinances. There's reason for it. Whether it actually is enforced, it's actually intended to be able to something for it to benefit for the community. I get that.
And then maybe it is, overkill to have 2 freeze-thaw cycles and also 2 years of guarantee after the fact, but I like the language, so I left it there to talk
Right,
about.
no, it's just very foreign from where we're at to this point, is where I was coming at it from, I guess.
My suggestion might be to reduce it to just 1 freeze-thaw
Yeah.
cycle, so that way somebody could build it 1 year and then get it accepted in the spring the next time, prove, okay, it survived the winter, it survived the, frost heave season in the spring. Okay, now you can take it over. I think that'd be more fair than say, well, you got to wait a whole another year after that, and who knows, the developer goes out of business and the people in the street are left without anyone plowing the road the next year.
Sure.
The idea of the 2 years after, I'm not going to lie, I think that's fine.
Yeah,
I
no,
think-
that's a warranty.
Reducing the freeze-thaw cycle by 1 is great, but I think we got to keep that 2
I like the
year after.
guarantee. I agree with the guarantee there.
What if
Well,
we did 1 year and then did 2 escrow?
Or if you wanted to bypass the 1 year freeze thaw, is the escrow aside if there's something that actually comes for it.
Well, I'm saying at least 1 year, then you'd know,
Right.
like Mark said,
Held
it
up.
survived.
Right.
Agreed.
And then you have 2 years to back up just in case.
The other thought to consider is how long is it going to take from the build-out subdivision to? You may end
Now,
up
it's the developer, that was his point, was he brought it
Yeah,
forward.
you've
Said,
got-
look, I'm not even done. I'm still building in these, and it's, in my opinion, something I'm willing to be able to escrow because I'm going to be still going across those roads.
And that's, I mean, I didn't include anything to that extent. I'm talking about the 50% rule that I added there, where it was 50% of the lots abutting the private road must be developed.
Right.
It may be 2 freeze-thaw cycles anyway.
Right.
Before one is completely developed.
Right. Right.
So
And,
I mean,
again, I'll go to, I know what Councilor LaRochelle said on that, is that we ought to look at what, something with a percentage of occupancy in the future, and that was something you clearly heard from the council.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, you may eliminate your freeze-thaw discussion just
Because of the need to be able to hit the other rule.
Right. So I think Mark's compromise sounds fairly reasonable in my mind, but.
We're not presently, like, we are presently accepting roads and housing developments that are not completed, correct?
We may have in the past, but I mean, the only roads I remember accepting in my time has been the Winter Park subdivision roads, and it was all done when the town accepted it. And then off from Upland Road and maybe another random one somewhere, but I think those were all complete when we took them, but I wouldn't swear to that.
It's not a lot.
I just think
not a
before
full
we start
frequency, but
accepting roads, that they should be done. I mean, whether they're occupied, put the percentage in there for being occupied, but I don't think we should be accepting roads until development is completed.
A lot of different opinions.
It's a roll call.
Yeah.
And is there anything we see in the first reading that we would have it changed before it moved forward? Hearing none.
So you don't want to change the 2 consecutive freeze cycles to 1?
I'd like to change it to 1 with 2 years escrow.
And I think we got a straw poll on that I think I'm seeing enough nods that let's go with that as a compromise. Can that be changed and still go with a roll call?
What do you think? Would that be considered substantive? No. All right.
Well, you haven't.
Tell me.
You haven't.
I would say it isn't, because we're actually reducing it rather than increasing what we're asking for.
We
It
change it
hasn't
by
even
the
been
second.
posted yet.
I think
If
we
you
were making
did it on the
multiple. I think we were
second, I
making
think you'd have
multiple
to start
passes
over.
and multiple parts of this. Then I would think that would
Yeah.
look.
I think you're okay in this. If you were making this change during the second reading, I think that's when.
We'd have to go back and
Right.
start the process again.
So that is in C,
Page 54.
so make that 1.
On
Where's
4665, you're in the wrong place.
It's 4665 1C.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I already closed the page.
Yes, okay, so this is where
That's
the 1 is.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
No problem.
That said, I'll entertain a motion.
No, we got to do
Then
Yeah.
motion second, then roll call.
Make the motion.
I need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. It was you for the 1 year. I appreciate that.
Okay.
All right, now roll call.
Counselor Colby?
Yes.
Counselor Brunel?
Yes.
Counselor Lund?
Yes.
Counselor Ward?
Yes.
Counselor LaRochelle is absent. Counselor Crawford?
Yes.
Counselor Albert?
Yes.
6 yeas, 0 nays, order passed.
Next item.
Order 2018-50 to amend Chapter 34, a sewer ordinance.
I don't want to talk about that topic anymore. Is there anything you want to highlight from our last workshop? Just say it into the podium for me, please.
You're gonna miss us.
I think after Steve and I talked about it, that we're good to go.
See, that's what I need to hear. And I'm seeing Steve nodding in the back row, so thank you. I will entertain a motion.
Make the motion.
I need a second.
Second it.
Roll call, please.
Counselor Albert? Counselor Crawford?
Yes.
Counselor Ward?
Yes.
Counselor Lunt?
Yes.
Counselor Brunel?
Yes.
And Counselor Colby?
Yes.
6 yeas, 0 nays, order passed.
Next item, Twyla.
Under other business, council committee reports.
School.
Yes.
So I attended the school meeting, and they are deep within their the budget, I guess you would say, ramp up. And as you can imagine, the message from Augusta was not one that was encouraging. But we heard a similar message last year, about 150 to 200K that is something that they weren't anticipating, but they're trying to look at that and say how we're going to make those moves. I have every confidence. They sounded like they have a very good plan of attack, so that when they get ready to present to us, they're going to have done everything they can to make sure that they reduce any sort of burden whatsoever on the taxpayers. But there's a crunch because there's a big push down from Augusta right now. It's all of that's being pushed back to the local from a funding perspective. So if you have concerns as a citizen and you want to know why more and more of that school funding is coming directly out of your tax dollars at the local level and not at the state level, you can always ask your representatives what they're doing to help change that.
Thank you, sir. Planning board, they did a site plan review and application for the new Rusty Lantern. They did some adjustments to the land use chart for the emergency marijuana moratorium. We should see that. And then they went into their workshop to formulate their goals, which you guys have here as well. Anything else I would add that I missed, guys? Thank you. Water.
They don't have anything to report right now. I believe they're not having their next meeting till next Tuesday, I believe the 13th at 5:30 at the Lisbon Water Department,
Thank you, sir.
I believe.
LDC, I'm assuming.
He didn't sit in, and neither did I, but I know that Tracy kind of covered the majority of what's going on. Some exciting stuff in the very near future. So, and I know Mr. Larochelle alluded to that as well. So,
Perfect.
Good things coming.
Conservation Commission, they met last Tuesday night before the workshop that we had, formulating their goals, and we also have those here before us as well tonight. Recreation?
I know they've been working on their goals. Mark, they had a meeting last night. So.
And again, we have the goals here before us as well. County, there's nothing. Library, sir?
The Friends of the Library bought a couple of new chairs for the front of the library for the sitting area there to replace the old ones that were getting kind of old. So it's a nice new area. If you haven't stopped in, stop in there and check out the front of the library. It's a great place to sit and read for a while.
All the heater damage, everything that happened in the back, all taken care of. Everything's back up to snuff.
They brought in new carpets and stuff and had to get that fixed. And
Perfect.
it's all been set up again now.
Awesome.
Town manager?
We're plugging ahead on the budget. I hope to have it all ready for you by next Friday so that you have time over the weekend to look at it before I present it on the 20th.
Okay.
Just one other thing, I just want to recognize Ryan Layton. For those of you that may or may not know, Ryan has accepted a position with the town of Brunswick as the assistant manager. And his last day of work for us is March 23rd. And I just want to say I enjoyed working with Ryan for these past 4 years. And kudos for him for taking the next step in his career. Sad for us, but good for Brunswick.
You're dead to us, but it's a great opportunity.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Ryan. Awesome job, by the way. Goals. We have everybody's goals from the town council all the way down through the committees. We put them out there for you folks with the deadline of the March 6th to put it on everybody's radar. Two things that I would like to be able to do is to have these be part of discussions, if not in the budget side of things, because a lot of you actually are slotted within individual departments, so the manager can focus on those kinds of things to showcase them. But if there's anything that you guys would like to offer from your respective committees that are represented here tonight, please feel free. Anybody got anything that I've read the content? We will continue to go through it, and it'll be part of the management discussions. Councilor Larochelle was the one that asked this to actually come to formalize not only departments but also the committees, so I appreciate you guys taking the effort, because if you look at everybody's goals all in one place, the way that it's been presented to us, you can see the overlap and the fact that certain committees or departmental goals actually work together. And we can combine on town goals moving forward, if you will. The thing that I would like to also do, sometime to have it be in this session, is I would like to schedule, what's the first meeting in November? Is what? It's actually one meeting in November, right? Because of the way the schedule falls.
November 6th, because it's election day. So November 20th, you mean this November?
Yep. Can we do November 20th to actually update and progress towards those goals? So that puts it on the calendar, so what we're actually got, so people can benchmark what they've actually put out there, and we can hear how it actually worked itself out for the past session. That said, I don't have any specific questions, but we all know where to find you and vice versa, so I appreciate you guys taking the time to putting this out there and getting it on our radar screen. So, anybody else have anything on that? Next item, Twyla.
There's no appointments. Council communications.
I just checked my calendar. Are we still holding, do we have a meeting next week?
Yeah, the school presents their budget.
School budget meeting here, 7 o'clock?
Yep.
For the general listening public, first slice of what Councilor Albert just communicated for where they stand in the budget process. That information next Tuesday night, and it'll start rolling really quickly here for everybody sitting up front. So, next item, 12.
Audience participation for new items.
Anybody having anything they'd like to address for the council for future item, please step forward. Seeing none, we're moving on.
Order 2018-51 to go into executive session per 1 MRSA, Section 4056C, acquisition of, is it? No, 6A, personnel matters.
Will we be voting on anything?
No.
Won't be a vote.
Class dismissed. Thanks for coming, guys.
Who makes the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Who seconds?
Second.
Right there.
All in favor?
6-0.
Let's keep it up. 5-minute walk around break.